Where's my D20?
Gobbo!
Hello and welcome to Hobb's Horror Stories. I am Hob, your Hobgoblin narrator, back this week to provide more great TTRPG horror stories for you. This week we have a story about why dating your DM is a horrible idea, especially when you were pressured into it in the first place. Today's story comes from Reddit on r/D&D Horror Stories, and was written by Jun Soo Jin. The title of today's story is Never Date a DM, My First D&D Campaign. Where do I begin with this? I had never even once in my life played D&D before, but I was really into the Just Roll With It podcast and was really interested in trying it out. One day at a parade I noticed two guys with a D20 bracelet on. Let's call them Jake and Aiden. I walked up to them and struck up a conversation about D&D. They were super friendly and ended up giving me their socials. A little while later they invited me to a campaign that Jake was DMing and Aiden was a player in. It turned out that it was a sci-fi campaign with a lot of homebrew, so I was in over my head from the start. But Jake and Aiden helped me make a character for the setting and I learned how to play 5e in my spare time. Before I knew it, the day of the first session I would be joining them had come. I should mention here that I'm a girl, and almost the entire rest of the group were men. I had a lot of fun at first, mostly because I had no idea what was going on. I would eventually find out that Jake's campaign was originally supposed to be a book, but he liked it so much that he decided to make a campaign out of it with minimal changes to the plot and structure. Literally the DM who should have been an author trope. And it was painfully obvious that it was originally intended not to be a campaign. We were heavily railroaded and had to take orders directly from a self-insert character named Knight Zion. I am not making this up. The plot was so convoluted that only Jake himself understood it, and he prided himself on this fact. But all of these constraints and craziness couldn't take away the magic of playing D&D for the first time, and I really enjoyed it for a few months. In a lot of these stories, you see trends of people who think that they are these great, amazing Stephen King level authors who can write the most dynamic stories, and they forget the most simple fact is to make everything easy to understand what's going on. That should be the first step if you're making any type of campaign or anything. Just make it understandable at least. Give something that your players can follow. Also, don't railroad your players. There's a lot of times where when I'm DMing, my players will do something so beyond crazy and ridiculous that it kind of takes me back for a second and makes me rethink the story and kind of develop it and learn to grow as both a DM and a storyteller. If you are going to write a story about one of your campaigns, maybe make the story about the party. It's going to give more people's perspectives on things, it's going to tell a more dynamic story, and you're going to be able to do things that a reader of the story is going to enjoy a lot more than just hero swoops in, hero saves day, hero does this, hero does that. And bada bing, bada boom, the story wraps up just like every other story. When you have a party where it's real life people making these decisions, they're going to do more things to make it a dynamic story than you can do all on your own. Alright, I'm done with my little mini DM discussion there. Let's get back into the story. Then it started getting weird. Okay, just started getting weird, alright. Jake had been hyping up the next session as the beach episode. What is this, an anime? Why do you need a beach episode? Knight ordered the party to get some much-needed rest and relaxation and brought them to a ship that was basically a giant space resort. All the main characters were in swimsuits in a pool, there were parties, etc. I didn't really know what to do, and the whole thing kind of seemed out of nowhere. Yeah, because it is out of nowhere. There's no reason for any of this. Then night started coming onto my character. I was weirded out by this, but the rest of the table was laughing and joking about it, so I kind of just went along with it. There was eventually a fade to black moment, and that was that. My character in the DM self-insert had canonically done the deed. Gross. Yeah, it is gross. That's disgusting. A few more months passed, and I was hanging out at Jake's house one day when suddenly he looked really serious. He asked me if I wanted to go on a date. I wasn't attracted to him at all, but he was still my friend, and I didn't want to break his heart, so I said, I don't really know if I would want to be in a relationship right now. He responded, you don't have to make any commitments, it's just a date. I felt a little pressured, and I figured I owed him at least one date since he was a good friend to me, so in a moment of weakness I agreed. Alright OP, real quick, you don't owe anyone anything. Just because he's playing D&D with you and is your friend, you don't have to go on a date with him. If you don't like him, just be like, nah man, piss off. Like it's that simple. What's he gonna do, kick you out of the game for not wanting to date him? That was foreshadowing for everyone listening.
Foreshadowing is a literary device in which the writer gives...
The next day, he told the entire table that we were together. Things got really bad from there. He would give me all sorts of special treatment in the campaign, even having sessions that involved entirely around my character. All of the other players started to hate me, and I had no good way of explaining to them that I didn't sign up for any of this. Jake started to get really paranoid about me talking to other male members of the group or interacting with their characters too much. He would lash out at them if he thought I was talking to them too much or liked their characters more than his, sometimes refusing to talk to me at all after the session. Eventually I had enough and broke up with him, even though I hadn't been in the relationship by choice in the first place. In the moment he seemed to take it pretty well, and we had a mature conversation about it. The day after that, he removed me from the D&D group chat and blocked me. I found out weeks later that he had told everyone that I had left of my own accord because I didn't want to be a player in the campaign anymore. For everyone wondering, here's where the foreshadowing was for.
You should not have given me this power. Foreshadowing is a literary...
The cherry on top, it turned out that Jake never wanted me in the campaign in the first place. Aiden had convinced him to let me join because he thought I was attractive and wanted to get closer to me. And then after a few weeks of me being in the campaign, Jake convinced Aiden to let him ask me out instead. I want to make it perfectly clear that these were two adult men in their 20s. Obviously, I wanted nothing to do with that D&D group after all of this. However, Aiden eventually reached out to me and apologized and informed me that they had kicked out Jake and had a new DM. So, happy ending, I guess? Alright, so for any of our listeners out there, I read through the comments a little bit after this video, and I would like to inform you all this didn't stop OP from playing D&D. She still plays D&D to this day, so that part is good. Also, I'm very proud of OP for breaking up with Jake and leaving that whole situation, because it is not worth it to be in that kind of situation. People like that deserve to be all on their own in some little hermit hole away from all of the rest of us. They can go do whatever they want over there and be as toxic of a person as they want. This is some unsolicited dating advice from a hobgoblin here, but if your significant other, partner, whatever you want to call them, is talking to other people just as friends or at a D&D table, and that makes you so uncomfortable that you need to punish your friends for them talking to your partner, and you don't feel like you can trust them, just end your relationship, because clearly there's no trust there at all, and you need to work on yourself as a person. If you can't trust your partner on a level as simple as letting them have friends, then there is something majorly wrong with the whole entire relationship. But you know, just some unsolicited dating advice from a goblin here, so do with that what you will. Alright everyone, I'm gonna wrap up today's video. Let's get to the outro.
I hope you enjoyed today's story. If you have any stories you would like to have read here on the channel, please share them to the email in the description below. Also, if you could please like, comment, and subscribe, it would help us greatly to slay the monster known as the algorithm. Also, if you're looking for more great horror stories like these, please click the link at the end of this video. Thank you from all of us here at Goblins and Gremlins.